You know that feeling when you're about to do something that matters, really matters, and suddenly your chest tightens. Your palms start sweating, and every fiber of your being screams at you to turn around and run. Yeah, we've all been there. But here's something that's going to mess with your head a little bit. What if I told you that fear, the thing that's probably held you back from more opportunities than you can count, the thing that's whispered you're not good enough in your ear 1,000 times? What if that entire experience was just an elaborate trick your brain is playing on you? Not metaphorically, not philosophically, but literally an illusion constructed by neurons firing in patterns that have nothing to do with actual danger. Stay with me on this, because by the end of this video, you're going to see fear in a completely different light. And if you're ready to understand the silent battles happening in your own mind, hit that like button right now and subscribe. Because we're about to go deep into territory most people never explore. So let's start with what fear actually is. And I'm not talking about the dictionary definition. I'm talking about what's really happening in your brain when you feel afraid. When you experience fear, you're essentially experiencing a prediction, a story your brain is telling you about what might happen based on past experiences, cultural programming, and evolutionary wiring that's thousands of years out of date. Think about it. Your brain evolved in an environment where the rustling in the bushes could actually be a tiger ready to eat you. So it developed this incredibly sensitive alarm system that would rather give you 1,000 false alarms than miss the one real threat. That made perfect sense when we were living in caves. But now that same system is firing off when you're about to give a presentation at work, or text someone you like, or post your creative work online. Situations where there's literally zero physical danger. Yet your body is responding like you're about to be mauled by a predator. And here's where it gets really interesting, because neuroscience has shown us that the physical sensations of fear, excitement, nervousness, and anticipation are almost identical. Your heart races, your breathing changes, you get that flutter in your stomach. But the interpretation, the story you tell yourself about what those sensations mean, that's what creates the emotion. One person feels those sensations before a presentation and labels it as fear and freezes. Another person feels the exact same sensations and labels it as excitement and performs brilliantly. Same biology, completely different experience. Which means the fear itself isn't the problem. It's your relationship with the sensations and the story you're telling yourself about them. Now, before you think I'm saying fear doesn't matter or that you should just ignore it, hold on, because that's not what I'm getting at here. I'm saying something far more practical and potentially life-changing. Fear is information, not instruction. Let me say that again, because this is crucial. Fear is information, not instruction. It's data about your nervous system's state. It's feedback about what matters to you. Because you only fear things in domains you care about, but it's not a command you have to obey. And isn't it wild how we've all been conditioned to treat fear like some kind of authority figure we have to listen to? Like fear shows up and we automatically assume it knows something we don't. That it's protecting us, that we should absolutely follow its advice and avoid whatever it's pointing at. But what if fear is more like that friend who means well, but is kind of paranoid and overprotective, and gives you terrible advice about never taking risks? You wouldn't let that friend run your entire life, would you? So why are we letting fear make all our major decisions? The thing is, every single person you admire, everyone who's created something meaningful, everyone who's built a life that inspires you, they all felt fear, probably a lot of it. The difference is they recognized it as an illusion, as a temporary state, as sensations in their body that would pass, and they moved forward anyway. That's not fearlessness, that's courage. And courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the recognition that fear is just weather patterns in your nervous system, not an accurate predictor of outcomes. You know what's funny though? We spend so much time being afraid of external things, public speaking, rejection, failure, judgment, but the real fear, the one running the show behind the scenes, is the fear of our own emotions. We're not actually afraid of asking someone out. We're afraid of feeling rejected. We're not actually afraid of starting that business. We're afraid of feeling like a failure. We're not afraid of being ourselves. We're afraid of feeling the discomfort of other people's judgments. So we're really just afraid of feeling feelings, which when you say it out loud sounds kind of ridiculous, right? Like we're literally limiting our entire lives because we might feel uncomfortable for a little while. Feelings that will pass like everything else passes. And here's where we need to talk about something most people never consider: the cost of listening to fear versus the cost of ignoring it. Sure, fear tells you that taking a risk might lead to failure, embarrassment, or discomfort. And that's technically true. Those outcomes are possible. But what fear conveniently forgets to mention is that not taking the risk guarantees you'll experience the slow, crushing weight of regret, the quiet desperation of wondering, what if? The eventual realization that you traded your dreams for comfort and ended up with neither. Because here's the brutal truth: comfort is an illusion too, maybe an even more dangerous one than fear. Because at least fear is obvious and in your face. Comfort is sneaky. It tells you there's plenty of time. It tells you to wait until you're ready. It tells you that staying safe is the smart choice. And before you know it, years have passed and you're still in the same place, still planning to start. Still waiting for the fear to go away before you take action. Except it never goes away. You just get older and more entrenched in your patterns. So, if we accept that fear is an illusion, what do we actually do about it? Because understanding something intellectually and changing your relationship with it are two very different things. The first step is to stop trying to eliminate fear, because that's like trying to stop the weather. It's not happening. Your brain is designed to generate fear. That's part of its job. Trying to never feel fear is like trying to never feel hungry. It's fighting against your basic biology. Instead, the goal is to change your response to fear, to create space between the sensation and your reaction to it. When you feel fear arising, instead of immediately believing its story and acting on its commands, you pause, you notice it, you literally say to yourself, "Oh, there's fear. Interesting." And you recognize it as a pattern of sensations in your body. Tightness here, fluttering there, racing thoughts, shallow breathing, just physical phenomena, not truth, not prophecy, not instructions from some higher wisdom. And then, here's the key part. You act in accordance with your values rather than your fears. You ask yourself, what would I do right now if I wasn't afraid? What action would be aligned with who I want to be and the life I want to create? And then, while still feeling the fear, because it's not going away just because you understood it intellectually, you take that action anyway. Not because you're brave or special, but because you've realized that feelings are temporary and values are permanent, that emotions are weather and values are your compass. This is where everything changes, because once you start taking action while afraid, you gather evidence that fear was lying to you. You see that the thing you were terrified of either doesn't happen or isn't nearly as bad as fear promised it would be. And even when things don't go perfectly, even when you do fail or get rejected or look foolish, you discover something profound. You survived it. You felt uncomfortable for a while, and then the feeling passed and you were okay. And actually, you learned something and grew from the experience. And the more evidence you gather that fear is a liar, the less power it has over you. Not because it goes away, but because you stop believing it's telling you the truth about reality. Now, I want to address something important, because some of you might be thinking, but isn't some fear legitimate? Isn't fear sometimes protecting us from actual danger? And yes, absolutely. If you're standing at the edge of a cliff or a car is speeding toward you, that fear response is appropriate and useful. That's your nervous system doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But let's be honest, how much of your daily fear is about actual physical danger versus social discomfort, ego protection, and uncertainty about the future? Most of the fear that's actually limiting your life has nothing to do with survival and everything to do with an outdated nervous system that can't tell the difference. between a genuine threat and an opportunity for growth. And here's something that might blow your mind. On the other side of your fear is always, always the thing you actually want. Always. The conversation you're afraid to have is the one that will improve your relationship. The project you're afraid to start is the one that will fulfill you. The truth you're afraid to speak is the one that will set you free. The version of yourself you're afraid to become is the one you actually are underneath all the conditioning and self-protection. Fear is literally a map to your growth. It shows you exactly where you need to avoid. So every time you feel fear, instead of seeing it as a stop sign, what if you saw it as a sign that you're heading in the right direction? Toward expansion, toward authenticity, toward the life you actually want to be living. Because safe choices feel comfortable in the moment, but they compound into a life of quiet disappointment. While scary choices feel uncomfortable in the moment, but they compound into a life of meaning and growth and the deep satisfaction of knowing you didn't let fear make you small. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Fear is not your enemy. It's not even particularly accurate. It's just your nervous system doing what evolution programmed it to do, generating worst-case scenarios to keep you safe. But you are not your nervous system. You are the awareness that can observe your nervous system. Notice its patterns. Thank it for its concern, and then make conscious choices based on who you want to become, rather than what you're afraid might happen. Okay. Starting today, this week, this month, what would you do if you recognized fear as the illusion it is? What conversation would you have? What would you create? What risk would you take? What version of yourself would you step into? Because I promise you, 1 year from now, you'll wish you had started today. You'll wish you had trusted yourself more and your fears less. You'll wish you had understood that fear was just trying to keep you small while life was inviting you to expand. The silent battle in your mind isn't between this story fear tells you and the truth of who you're capable of becoming. So, which story are you going to believe?